Before we begin, I'd like to apologize for the sound of my voice. I've been battling flu for the past week, and this is the lingering symptom that's still there while we wait for it to fully leave my body. Anyway, let's begin. Our politicians are a reflection of who we are as people. The majority of our people are still voting for the ANC, EFF, and MK party. It's as if we refuse to learn from our mistakes and refuse to accept facts, all while creating a land of social justice warriors with a lot of rotten pride, decaying with poor morals and indecency. How do you expect to have a nation of great, hardworking, successful people if your contribution to this country has only been making other people's daughters pregnant and moving on with your life as if it's normal? It is not normal. You can lie to yourself all you want, but guess what? I am not going to lie to you. It is not normal. Welcome to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katlego and would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and shared this video with other citizens. Between April and June 2024, 4,000 teenage pregnancies have been recorded. And I thought we want to stop being poor. Tell me, how do we stop being poor when we do things that limit the resources that we have? How do we stop being poor when we live recklessly without a care in the world?
Is the highest number of pregnant learners to be recorded within a space of a year. The provincial health department recorded over 4,000 teenagers that gave birth to health facilities between the month of April and June this year. Over 3,600 of those teenagers are between the ages of 15 and 19 years old, while the remaining teenagers are between 10 and 14 years old.
What do you expect from our youth if we don't talk about these things with them? What do you expect to get from our youth if there is no discipline within our homes? What do you expect to get from our men and women if they are not being given better things to occupy their time with? We've said it before and we'll say it again. South Africa has a serious culture problem, and we as citizens cannot sit back and hope that this changes itself. We as citizens have a responsibility to make sure that our children are consuming the right content, learning the right things from the right people. We as citizens have a responsibility to make sure that our children are not idle, but are kept busy with challenging, upskilling, interesting tasks that ensure that they don't have excess time on their hands to get up to bad behavior.
21-year-old Muvumbi Tumore from Chuburani village near Thohoyandou became a mother at the tender age of 17. She says she lost her way after her mother, who was her biggest source of inspiration and guidance, died a few years ago. Her father, who was the only breadwinner for the family, was hardly ever at home as he had to work and provide for his family. Sintumure has attributed her moral erosion to unbridled freedom and lack of consistent parental guidance.
When I fell pregnant, it was due to a lot of freedom because I lost my mom. I had no one who can talk to me and guide me in all the stuff.
I'm going to say something that is going to pain most of you watching this, and sorry in advance. Not all, but the majority of South Africans, especially within the black population, are not taking their responsibility as fathers, mothers, and teachers seriously. It is a culture problem. It must change, and the good thing is it can change. It is up to us. We always complain about the violent crime in this country. We complain about the corruption in this country. We complain about STDs and HIV in this country. We complain about gender-based violence in this country. Why is it that we don't complain about the issues that cause these things to happen to us? What are the things that we are doing or not doing as parents, teachers, and children that are perpetuating the violent crimes, corruption, HIV, gender-based violence, and other issues? What are they? Have you noticed that South Africa is still a nation that likes to act as if we know what we are doing when the vast majority of our people actually have no clue what they're doing? This is not entirely our fault only. Politicians have let us down and we have been sleeping as citizens. We have not been taking part in redeeming ourselves from politicians. And this is a big deal. In order for our country to become serious about its standing, we as a population have to start the journey. We have to start saying no to certain behaviors that are happening in our society. I mean, look at this. To me, they even look barely 18 years old. That is not a poverty-stricken background right there. That is a home of someone with means. Instead of these children meeting to learn programming or some useful skill or meeting up to have debates or play sports, this is what they spend their time and energy on. This is unfortunately not a tiny, isolated issue. Most South African children are living lives of pursuing fun and entertainment everywhere. When they get to university, who is informing them on the decision or the directions to take? The EFF and the ANC are there waiting for them in colleges and in universities. And these are the children who we expect to make the right decisions when it's time to vote.
Rhodes University's vision emphasizes pride in its African identity. Mr. CIC Julius Malema is a champion for the African continent and Pan-Africanism. He advocates for Pan-Africanism, and his efforts to address the legacies of colonization resonate deeply with this commitment. The university values democratic ideas, and Mr. CIC's approach reflects through his fearless and outspoken nature. His willingness to address issues and his commitment to social justice are in line with upholding democracy principles. I beg your pardon, I'm very nervous.
All it takes is the music at the right volume and a lot of alcohol, and guess what? Our children start exposing their bodies for all the world to see. What about their health? Do you think drinking brandies and vodkas like this is a good thing for their health? And after getting drunk on strong alcohol like this, who knows what will happen to them? They get taken advantage of, and then we rush to abortion clinics. Children are being born out of wedlock. The young girl's education is disturbed. They contract HIV or STDs.
Today, my whole life could change, and I'm scared. Friday night, I started having a burning sensation whenever I peed. Was not pleasant. So Saturday, I went to urgent care and they put me on medication for a UTI. So I started the UTI medication on Sunday, and then that night I noticed that my right lymph node in my groin was swollen. By Monday, the UTI meds still haven't kicked in. It still really hurt whenever I peed. So I called to make an appointment with my gyno. And it's now Wednesday. My appointment's in like half an hour. This subject is very stigmatized, has a lot of shame around it. But then I noticed warts on my genitals. Very, very painful. These last few days, I've just felt run down, icky, haven't had an appetite, uncomfortable. It hurts to walk. It hurts to sit. Everything hurts. I'm scared. I'm scared. If it's herpes, I know it's not the end of the world. I'm about to go to my appointment now, so I will come back with an update. I have herpes. If I want to have unprotected sex, I have to tell them. I don't know how this is going to affect my dating life.
I can't give birth vaginally if I have an outbreak. I don't know. I don't fucking know how I'm supposed to tell my parents this. It's also just fucking painful. And I'm gonna have these outbreaks for the rest of my life. I feel like my parents are gonna be so disappointed in me. I don't know.
According to Stats SA 2021, an estimated overall HIV prevalence rate is approximately 13.7% among the South African population. An estimated of 8.2 million are currently living with HIV. Now, the shocking and alarming recent stats coming out of the SA AIDS conference revealed that about 1,300 young people in KZN are infected weekly.
This is irresponsible behavior. Where are the parents? And because of these kinds of things, my husband and I have made it a rule that we don't allow our children to go to anyone's house without us being present. Sleepovers are totally out of the story. Maybe certain relatives, but that's it. You may have standards in your home, but sadly, getting drunk and smoking drugs is not frowned upon in some families. Children are not warned against that behavior in some homes. So part of being responsible or being a responsible mother, father, or guardian is keeping your child away from certain people.
Okay, I met the guy, we did the things, and it was not that easy.
Sintumule says becoming a teenage mother saw her dream of pursuing a university degree deferred abruptly. She says she now faces an uphill battle, raising her offspring without a stable income.
I came across a lot of things because the baby daddy ran away at the pregnancy stage, and then when I got the baby, I nearly killed myself. I nearly committed suicide. When I had to go to the clinic for checkups, I had no money. I had to walk few kilometers alone. I had no support. I had no one. It was not that easy. Sometimes I would cry.
Another teenage mother, 19-year-old Takarani Marriage, is from Shandima outside Thohoyandou. Marriage became a mother when she was 16. She has issued a frank warning to her peers who may be involved in sexual activities.
They must stop having sexual activities that lead to teenage pregnancies, because boys can left you and then sometimes you will have to drop out of school because you will be not having someone who will take care of your child, and then some boys will run away and leave you with a kid, and then you won't be able to take their responsibility as a parent because you're still young.
Why are we not hearing the noise regarding the fact that the majority of criminals are coming from broken homes? Why are we not hearing about how children raised by single parents are more likely to live below the poverty level than children with both parents?
Years ago, I interviewed Kwesi Mfume, then the president of the NAACP. As between the presence of white racism and the absence of black fathers, I asked him, which poses the bigger threat to the black community? Without missing a beat, he said, the absence of black fathers. It was President Barack Obama who said, we all know these statistics, that children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
Why is it that these issues are not being discussed in our homes, our schools, and society in general? Right now, we have a problem of 4,000 teenage pregnancies in 3 months. So that is 4,000 innocent children who are most likely going to be raised by single mothers or worse, their grandmothers. 4,000 innocent children who are most likely going to be raised below the poverty line. 4,000 innocent children whose chances of becoming criminals have increased by virtue of them being born into broken homes. And how old are these mothers of these 4,000 children? 10 to 19. Girls as young as 10 are falling pregnant. The question is, who is impregnating a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old girl, and what are the consequences of this action? Why do we never hear about the young and sometimes old men destroying the lives of these young girls? Why?
Early pregnancy is a crisis as it ultimately prevents adolescent and young girls from progressing in the most important years of their lives. To put a stop to this, government, communities, civil societies, schools, everyone must work hand in glove with one another.
We as South Africans have normalized bad behavior. We act like it's okay to walk past a child in school uniform buying cigarettes at a spaza. They smoke around our neighborhoods and we say nothing because they're not our children. School kids stand around street corners touching each other. We know this may result in an unplanned pregnancy, but we say nothing because they are not our children. Some school transport drivers are overly friendly with some of the young girls in their transport, potentially grooming them to sleep with them and get them pregnant, but we say nothing because they are not our children. Things like teenage pregnancy are some of the issues that are keeping South Africans poor. Some of the girls' education is over or paused for the child's first 1, 2, or 3 years, delaying the girl's matriculation, her university enrollment, entry into the work environment. And while some do manage to go back to school, for others pregnancy means it is over. The girl is not the only one affected by this, but her child is affected too. This child is brought into a house and a life of poverty, lacking diapers sometimes, lacking formula, clothing, and in later years, money for daycare and other resources that children who were not born to teenage single mothers have. Now you are begging for maintenance from your baby daddy. Now you have to queue and wait for handouts from SASSA. Now you go to EFF rallies and expect Julius Malema to bring you economic freedom in your lifetime. That is not the life, my friends.
Comrades, enzana abantwana ngizawukhokhela mna because siyayidabula a child grant from 510 to 1,020 rand because our children deserve better. Don't be lazy. Please, don't be lazy. Enzana abantwana SG lingalali. When we leave here, sicela ukuthi nibe busy. Please. And I don't care whether you are poor or not. Enzana abantwana.
On Christmas Day, 145 babies were born to teenage mothers. On New Year's Day, 190 babies were born by teenage mothers. How many of those teenage mothers were being protected by their parents and communities? Between April 2021 and March 2022, 90,000 pregnancies were recorded for girls aged 10 to 19 years, with over 150,000 young girls being pregnant in the 2022-2023 financial year.
The World Health Organization report states that South Africa has one of the highest rates of teenage pregnancy globally. Research by the health agency shows that 1 in 5 girls get pregnant before they turn 20. At the same time, the report says HIV has increased among girls between the ages of 15 and 19.
When we observe the culture we have accepted, the music circulating in our communities, the celebrities we elevate, what do they promote? Purity, innocence, abstinence, go to school, work hard, don't sleep around, stay away from alcohol and drugs? Is that what the music and celebrities in South Africa promote? Unfortunately not. Most of them promote the worst of the worst behaviors. You know the lyrics, right? Sex, this and that, vanity, money, drugs, alcohol, more promiscuity from the lyrics of these people. Couple that with being a social justice activist and the country goes up in flames. Unions and the EFF and the ANC. That's how you destroy a country. We need to change the culture in our nation, South Africa. 1/4 of all our girls fall pregnant before turning 20. Should we be proud of these numbers? Majority of those babies will be raised with no fathers, and then we expect them to have good husbands in the future. Some will become criminals. Some will never settle down. Some will have partner after partner. We expect them to be great fathers of families in the future. How? How? Most of the men I know in my life have children with many women. Most of the women I have met have children without a father in the home. Some have children with multiple partners. How is that okay, dear South Africans? Sleeping around with many sexual partners is horrible. It is not right. You may call it fun, but it is actually called decay. You're rotting your name, you're rotting your mind, you're rotting your self-esteem. You're harming yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. If it happened to you or if you did it, make sure you strengthen your children so that they can avoid it. Look at Sotsayisa Senior Secondary. They know that society is becoming rotten with many opportunities for children to fall prey to many evils. So they made sure to take up the time of those children by working on their education.
And further than that, we have a camp called Ilim. That camp is done during the trial exam period. From the beginning of the trial up till the end, it's about 4 weeks or plus. Learners leave the school, they come to the school in the morning like they did today and leave at 10 o'clock. They study on their own in that camp. Teachers don't teach them. They will teach them here and there where there are problems. They study until 10 o'clock. The basic reason why we do this camp and want our learners to come and study here at school, you will understand there are many socio-economic challenges at the homes, so it's better for us to monitor them studying.
The students did very, very well, and that is great, right? But guess what? Those children are getting enrolled into universities and colleges where EFF and the ANC are waiting there. They are the dominant political parties on the campuses. The hard work they have learned evaporates if they are not led by proper lecturers. Instead, they bump into people like these ones.
Perspective on the GNU. What are your thoughts on this arrangement as it applies to the new cabinet? And how effective do you think this approach will be in really addressing South Africa's current challenges? Yeah, it's against your journey.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
So I'm saying it is the pact between the DA and the ANC in essence. And I think the whole GNU was a device to really get around the massive opposition within the ranks of the ANC, but also within the ranks of the black working class, over the idea that really the ANC is going into an alliance with the DA. And when you look at the statement of intent, what is very clear is that although they call it GNU, the reality is that there are two parties that anchor that particular, that will be anchoring this particular GNU, and that is the ANC and the DA.
Guys, our youth are fresh minds. They have no experience in many of the things that they are being exposed to. Most of the ideals and silly things that they do in their youth will lead to regret and tears. Most of them will regret the things that they do in their youth. But you hear EFF and ANC demanding youth in high positions of government. What have you learned that you think that at 25 it is time to lead a national institution? Take your time to learn skills, learn morals, learn hard work, choose one partner and settle down. Do not sleep with people for their looks or their money. It is not worth it. Don't try to fit in either. Where do you think this nonsense leads us? more motherless and fatherless homes. Help our children to be careful, dear South Africans. Be there for them. Be role models to those that lack role models. Guide them. Inform them on the right direction to take and the right decisions to make. This is a very, very important issue. Universities and schools need to start playing their roles more seriously, like the school I mentioned above. Play a role beyond academics in the lives of the young people that pass through your hands. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.